The Ministry of Education is determined that every child must learn. And in today's show, we look at the support being given to schools for the deaf. Plus, summer camp with a difference at the Kingston and St Andrew Parish Library. These and other vital information are in today's Jamaica magazine. Hello, I am Theodore Henry. Let's get started.
Some marine, you know. Yeah?
Yeah, man, I have the package 6,000.
60,000.
Yeah.
How much I want?
Yeah, man, 2 bays I want.
Yeah, man, the one that's so.
Grand,
Yeah, man. Same. Alright,
What one, cat?
you don't know, I sit downtown the other day there.
Oh.
I want to come in them man, we buy and sell marina. One of them I sell a 6-pack for $1,000 and the next one I sell one for $200.
So where buy?
Buy 5 of them for $1,000. Think them can't rob me.
So Uncle Fancy is the same $1,000 you would spend to get the 6? Seriously?
Tell them again now my math brains.
Math count.
Math counts.
Sponsored by the Ministry of Education.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Thursday, March 2. Jamaica's maritime security capabilities have been enhanced with the acquisition of 2 maritime offshore surveillance vessels. Operated by the Jamaica Defence Forces Coast Guard, the HMJS Cornwall and Middlesex will carry out a number of border security activities, including anti-gun and drug smuggling interdiction, fisheries protection, as well as search and rescue missions. At Tuesday's commissioning ceremony, Prime Minister Andrew Holness said the vessels will not only provide improved response capabilities, but also deter and interdict any illegal activity in Jamaica's maritime space.
Effective monitoring of the maritime domain must be in place. Ideally, detection must happen even before there is a threat to our waters, and the employment of these vessels, coupled with the introduction of new technology, will achieve good results. The addition of the Maritime Patrol aircraft in short order will also significantly enhance the unit's capability to detect and monitor any activity as required.
National Security Minister Robert Montego used Tuesday's commissioning ceremony to pledge government's commitment to addressing equipment challenges in the security forces.
We will continue to equip the Coast Guard, and we will give them the resources that is needed to effectively patrol and monitor our maritime space. Having these boats commissioned and into service will immediately improve the effectiveness of the JDF Coast Guard, who were able to interdict over $1.5 billion worth of cocaine and marijuana last year, despite not having them at their disposal. One can easily see the potential boost to our interdiction capabilities with the vessels now in service.
In other news, the National Housing Trust is close to providing Prime Minister Andrew Holness with a draft report of an institutional review of its operations. Mr. Holness gave the directive to the board of the NHT in 2016, asking members to look at the agency's mandate in delivering houses to Jamaicans. The Prime Minister reasoned that the NHT reserves in the past have been used in other areas other than housing and community development.
The directive to the board is to build house. If the NHT was building house, there would be no reserves to take. So use the reserve to build house. That is why at every groundbreaking, I am going to be there to make the point that we are using the NHT resources to build house.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness was speaking at Tuesday's groundbreaking for the build-out of 37 service lots at Mary's Field in Kingston Town, St Catherine. Infrastructure works on the 11.3-acre National Housing Trust development will be completed later this year. The Prime Minister, meanwhile, says the NHT will be building 4,000 starter units across the island by year's end. A total of 1,062 housing solutions will be delivered in St Catherine between 2017 and 2018. So far, 253 are being developed by the NHT at Eltham Farm and Hellshire in Portmore. Street-side vendors and other interested food professionals are to be certified to provide gastronomic meals to tourists. This initiative is to fall under the Ministry of Tourism's Pondicana project. Portfolio Minister Edmund Bartlett says the culinary training aims to increase the number of chefs and cooks who can establish food businesses as part of the Tourism Food Shop program that is soon to be rolled out. The first tourism food shop is to be established in Olympic Way, St Andrew.
In the communities, we want to build out what we call food shops. Food shops are locations where in Europe you go and they have what is called tapas. So that each little shop sells a different type of delicacy. So each one is doing a different thing, and nobody buys a full dish of anyone.
Mr. Bartlett was speaking yesterday at the closing ceremony honoring 21 participants in the Culinary Skills Training Program for persons in the Olympic Way community. And Education Minister Senator Ruel Reid, who was also at the function, says government will be increasing its efforts to ensure that a greater percentage of Jamaica's workforce is trained and certified to meet world standards. Minister Reid says government will be changing current statistics which show that only 15% of the workforce has tertiary level training, 18% technical education, and 67% having no education or certification.
We have now created not only the National Qualification Framework, but the Occupational Degree Framework, Minister, which of course TBDCO and all your hotel schools are going to be tying into. Because what we want is to have a seamless education and training system aligned to industry that pulls everyone, every youth to the highest level of education, training, and certification.
The Culinary Skills Program is one aspect of the Olympic Way Hip Strip project, which is being implemented by the Tourism Development Product Company. The graduates are now certified by Heart Trust NTA to operate as managers and chefs for specific areas of fine cuisine. And finally, local entrepreneurs are set to benefit from business law training under a new partnership between the Jamaica Business Development Corporation and Street Law Caribbean. The partnership between the entities will see the implementation of capacity building and related activities geared towards entrepreneurs for a deeper understanding of law and its implications. An official signing signaling the commencement of the agreement was held recently.
For us, it's important to really narrow and eliminate the gaps that exist, and this certainly was a big one, because whatever you do in business comes back to relationships that have some legal reference. So whether you are working with your suppliers, your buyers, whomever, there's always some contract.
And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
When criminals disagree, they seek revenge. Murder, arson, rape, whatever causes terrible suffering. It doesn't matter who gets hurt. Women, children, and the elderly, they are the main targets. Don't support the criminals. Don't cover up for them. Don't take their money. Take a stand now for the right of our women and children to be free from fear and abuse. Silence brings violence.
A message from the Ministry of National Security.
We are a little way off from the summer holidays, but what I am about to show you should make you reserve the upcoming period to get your children involved. It's the Jamaica Library Service Summer Program. Here's a recap of what took place last year.
They came to sing, dance, and discover the artistic creativity within. This was an unforgettable experience for children ages 6 to 14 at the summer program held at the Kingston and St Andrew Parish Library, 2 Tom Redcombe Drive.
We put on this program because we aim to develop the creativity, social and academic skills of the student. This summer program is offered annually at all public libraries throughout the island, normally during the month of July.
This program has been enhancing the summer experience for children through the various activities being offered.
We offer computer classes, we offer sign language, performing arts. It is when they come to the summer program that they actually get to discover who they really are.
It's fun to be here and you can get a lot of friends and you learn new things.
I like my friends, the people.
Students can access these programs at any of the public libraries within the Kingston and St Andrew Parish Library Network.
The Kingston and St Andrews Parish Library Network has 9 branch libraries. There are the Brandon Hill Branch Library, which is located beyond the Stony Hill. And then we have Stony Hill in the community of Stony Hill. We have Parks Road Branch Library beyond the Park and Stony Hill Branch Library. Then we also have Shuttle Branch Library, High Auburn Branch Library, Majestic Garden Branch Library. We have Port Royal Branch Library, Harborview Branch Library, and Stony and Tivoli Gardens Branch Library.
Through the Kingston and St Andrew Parish Library Network, outreach services are also provided to some 127 government schools.
Sometimes some schools don't have existing library. We work with them, guide them until the library is in existence. In that case, we have to go and re-establish the library.
The students have been able to have a more engaging experience in the summer program as a result of additional ICT resources provided at the various libraries.
Because our theme is Stay Connected this summer at your library, we have part of the activity involves Coder online gaming, where we utilize some of the computers that we received under the Global Libraries project.
The students have been very keen to explore this cyber universe as game masters.
Well, I like the coding game training. Like, it teaches you how to build your own games, so that's really fun for me because I enjoy technology.
Through the Global Libraries ICT project, a partnership was developed with EBSCO, which facilitated access to the Patient Education Reference Center database.
That means that if you're doing research, you can access online content that's not typically freely available on the web through the Jamaica Library Service that's made available by EBSCO.
The National Advocacy Committee of the Jamaica Library Service is aiming to promote the relevance of public libraries in Jamaica.
I am a Jamaican author, and my specific audience is young adults, which is teenagers for the most part. So the fact that the Global Libraries Project is putting more state-of-the-art computers all across Jamaica is an opportunity for us to have our work be exposed.
The Jamaica Library Service is also investing in their human capital and their physical environment.
The Heart Trust Century has partnered with the Jamaica Library Service through its Business Development and Workforce Solutions Department to offer customer service training for approximately over 250 Jamaica Library Services staff members. The training will help to enhance their skills and competencies to deliver a higher level of customer experience for both their internal and external customers.
The Kingston and St Andrew Parish Library is inviting all Jamaicans to come and experience the exciting programs it has to offer that will transform your life. Join us next week when we journey to the lush green parish of Portland to share in their summer program activities.
No, son. A verb is an action word.
Parents need to become more involved in their children's education.
Parents are the first and in many cases the most important teachers.
Read with your children. Review their schoolwork. Visit their school.
Tapping and rapping and slapping, I said.
Nice! High five! Woo! A good education will never decay.
The Ministry of Education is committed to providing a tailored learning environment that caters to the needs of deaf students. There are 7 of these schools island-wide, and Education Officer in the Ministry's Special Education Unit, Christina Addington, shares more with us.
So much has been done by the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information to advance learning of deaf students. And with me to talk about these achievements is Education Officer within the Ministry, Christina Addington. Welcome, Mrs. Addington.
Thanks for having me.
Tell me a bit about the different stages of hearing loss and how it affects the ability to learn in the traditional school system.
Okay, well, Andrew, hearing loss occurs on a continuum base going from hard of hearing to deafness. And on this continuum, there are different levels. So we start off with a mild hearing loss, then you can have a moderate loss, a severe loss, or a profound loss. It's important to note that it is the level of loss being experienced by the child that really impacts on if the child is able to be educated in the traditional system or if the child has to be educated in a segregated system. For children who experience mild hearing losses, for the most part they're able to cope and experience success in the regular school system. But for this to happen, there have to be a couple factors that have to be in place. Firstly, the student has to be amplified, fitted with hearing aids. The child has to be in a small school setting, most importantly, in a small class size, so that there's not a lot of background information to distort information being shared between teacher and the students in the classroom environment. Another thing is the teacher working with a child has to ensure that she or he utilizes specific strategies that will help the child maximize whatever residual hearing that the child has. So things like placing the child at the front of the class. The teacher has to also remember he or she cannot turn their backs to the class while teaching. They have to ensure that they always have the child's attention, let the child know when they're speaking to them. And the greatest thing I think also is that the parents have to be very, very involved, because once there's great parent involvement in the educational life of the child with a mild loss, then this will better ensure success.
So Mrs. Addington, how many specialized schools are there for these students?
Well, to date, we have 7 special education schools for the deaf across the island in Jamaica. We have 3 public schools which are operated in partnership between the Ministry of Education and the Jamaica Association for the Deaf. These are the Danny Williams School for the Deaf. They are in Kingston, in Pope Estate, Papine, and they have 2 satellites. One, a preschool center, which is attached to the school, and another unit class at the Excelsior Primary School. The St. Christopher School for the Deaf is also a primary school, and that school is in Brownstown, St. Anne, and it has a boarding facility. And Lister Mayor Gilby High School for the Deaf is the high school for the deaf. And that school has 2 satellites, so they have a satellite in Maypen and they have a satellite in Port Antonio. The other 4 schools are private schools. They are the Caribbean Christian Center for the Deaf. They operate 3 schools, one in St. James, one in Manchester, and one in Kingston, and the Jamaica Christian School for the Deaf, and they operate in Lethe, St. James.
So how has the ministry been advancing the learning of these students in these particular institutions?
Well, the ministry has been playing its part. For the most part, there is greater interaction and greater support to the public schools. One of the things that the ministry has done a couple of years ago, through discussions, the special education unit lobbied for posts of teachers' assistants to be established for the schools, special schools, and so the schools for the deaf, all the schools for the deaf, public schools, they got teachers' assistants. It's important to note that these teachers' assistants, they're not called teachers' assistants in the schools for the deaf, but they're called deaf culture facilitators. So although their role is to assist in helping the teachers to bring across the concepts, they also have another, which is a more important role, which is they are the deaf models for the children. The children are deaf, they are deaf, So the children have models and they display the culture, the deaf culture. So then and there, the children are seeing and learning about their culture and learning that it is okay to be deaf. They're deaf and it's a part of life and how they can succeed. The ministry also has put in place quality education circles, and all the schools for the deaf are engaged in a quality education circle. So the principals meet with administrators from other schools, they share information, and so the principals are able to learn and get advice and share information. The High School for the Deaf has benefited from being placed on the e-learning Jamaica project, and so all the teachers there have been trained and are better equipped to, infuse the technology into the teaching learning process.
So what are the advantages of learning in these specialized institutions?
Main advantage, I would say, is at the schools for the deaf, the pupil-teacher ratio is 8:1. So we talk about 8 students to 1 teacher. Now, when you compare that with a regular school system where it's 1:35, but in most cases 1:40 or some more, we can say that the children are in a setting which makes concessions that they cannot hear, so they need more time to be spent interacting, engaging in learning. That the teachers, for the most part, in these institutions are special education trained. So the teachers are trained in deaf education, and while in school they have what they call in-service training, where the Jamaica Association for Deaf provides training in them gaining Jamaican Sign Language competence. So we know that the teachers, are being trained to effectively communicate with the children. So they're getting the information because it's being effectively passed on to them in a manner which they understand. The methodologies used are methodologies which are specific for enhancing learning with the population. And as I say, small setting, persons know and better understand them and are better able to work with them.
Perfect note to end on, and signs for you to follow up on. We want to thank Mrs. Christina Addington from the Special Education Unit in the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information for sharing with us today. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
All right, until next time, see you around.
Know your numbers and control the keys to a healthier heart. Know the numbers for your blood pressure, cholesterol level, blood glucose level, and your weight and body mass index. Find out the risks they represent and what you need to do to stay healthy. Talk to your doctor and start making healthy lifestyle choices to prevent a heart attack or stroke.
Taking care of our health can prevent many of the diseases being diagnosed, especially the big C, cancer. As we observe Colon Cancer Month, we encourage you to do your regular checkups and screenings. Let's look closer now at what is colon cancer, its causes and symptoms.
Colon cancer is cancer of the large bowel. The large bowel is that area of the bowel which contains the waste products. Whenever you have colon cancer, it means that those cells are growing uncontrollably, and it's something that is very serious. It is a condition which we have to diagnose early, and so we can manage it appropriately. Once we diagnose colon cancer, the next step is to stage it. We want to know if it's confined to the colon or if it's outside the colon. So you're likely to have a CAT scan of the abdomen, a special X-ray, an X-ray of the chest, and some blood tests. We can use that information to decide if it's localized or if it's very involved. And that can help us to plan what your treatment is going to be. Colon cancer, it affects males and females equally. The usual age group that's at risk is age 60 and over. You can find colon cancer in the younger individuals, however, usually if there's a risk factor, and that's normally family related. Colon cancer is caused by genetic factors, so it can be passed from your parents, grandparents down the line. There are also lifestyle changes which can increase your risk for colon cancer. And these lifestyle changes can be diet related. So if your diet is not very good, if you have a lot of fat in the diet, or if you have a very low fiber diet, not enough roughage in the diet, that increases your risk for colon cancer. If you smoke, or if you consume excess alcohol, that also increases your risk for colon cancer. There are some medical conditions which can also increase the risk. If you have a history of polyps, which are like little growths in the bowel, that can also increase your risk for colon cancer. If you have a condition known as inflammatory bowel disease or ulcerative colitis, that can also increase the risk. So those are the usual risk factors for colon cancer. Colon cancer is very common in Jamaica in terms of cancers. We do know that it's the third most common cause of cancer-related death. So in males behind lung and prostate, in females behind breast and cervix. It accounts for maybe between 13 to 18 new cases per 100,000 per year in Kingston, and it may be even higher if you consider the entire island. The prognosis for colon cancer is very good, even though the numbers are very high. But the prognosis is good if you pick up the disease very early. So the earlier you detect colon cancer is the more likely you are to survive the condition. And that's why screening is important. Screening has been shown to reduce the incidence of death and complications from colon cancer. And we can use screening to actually prevent the development of cancer and treat. Stage 4 disease, however, if it's very late and has spread outside, only very low survival figures, as low as 20% would still be surviving by 5 years. So you do really need to pick up the condition very early, and that would be the best chance to improve your survival. The important thing about colon cancer is not to wait for the symptoms to appear before you consider the diagnosis. If you have any symptoms at all, they may be subtle at first. You may notice only a change in the bowel habit. So if you're used to going out just once a day, for argument's sake, you may find you're going now every 3 days or every other day, or even going more frequently. So it could be either going less frequently, having constipation, or going more frequently, diarrhea. You might see mucus in the stool. You could see blood in the stool as well. Or you could have signs that the cancer is more advanced, so weight loss or pain in the abdomen, recurrent vomiting, or jaundice if it's spread to other organs.
That music means we are at the end of our 30 minutes. But you can always stay connected via our website, jis.gov.jm, or our YouTube channel. Your feedback is very important to us, so keep sending them to Jamaica Magazine at jis.gov.jm or tweet at JISnews. We'll be back tomorrow, so on behalf of the production crew, I am Theodore Henry. Thanks for watching.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.